What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video, we are looking at the December birth flowers. Being that it's the holiday season, I'm going to gift you beautiful December babies with both of your flowers. Those being the holly and the narcissus, specifically the paper white, as daffodils are also technically within the genus Narcissus. So we're looking specifically at the white ones, the ones most commonly known as the Narcissus. Now, while one of these is a bulb and another of these is an evergreen, they both symbolize hope. Holly specifically symbolizes a wish for domestic happiness, and although some animals can eat it, it is semi-toxic to humans, which makes it kind of weird that it's the thing that we throw everywhere during what is arguably the most family-oriented holiday of the year, when like relatives from all over will come and visit each other, including, any small children and or babies involved in said families. Babies that and small children that have a knack for just putting things in their mouths, and we have a semi-toxic plant lying around. Maybe it's just me, but it seems a little irresponsible. But it is an evergreen, and that is why it symbolizes all of the things that it symbolizes. The idea of like the Christmas tree in and of itself was that the cultures that sort of started that tradition would bring in evergreen branches to try and preserve the life energy of the world, because they believed that that's what brought like spring on, was them looking after the life energy of nature, and not the fact that winter is just a natural part of the cycle of life and death. It has this weird little bit as like part of its like symbolism here on the almanac, link in the description, where it says that the good news is that deer tend to avoid eating holly because of their sharp leaves, making them a deer-resistant plant for gardens, which, as someone who's like, I've seen signs that say there are deer in this part of whatever in Australia. I've never actually seen a wild deer in Australia though, so this is obviously a very American thing, like, hey, put this in your garden, it'll bring birds in because some animals and birds enjoy the berries, but it'll keep the deer away, which just seems like such a weird problem to have. But then again, I'm sure there are things we've found that keep kangaroos away, because those things are essentially our native version of a deer. They're sort of the animal we love from over there, but if it's on our road, we're not exactly doing a whole heap to slow down. You know what I mean? Like if you're gonna stand there and like stare at an oncoming vehicle, it's likely you're gonna get hit. I have a funny story about that sort of thing. I will discuss it during a story time though. The Narcissus conveys that you want your beloved to stay just the way they are, which fits in with the very sort of it being a Narcissus flower. Narcissus being the mythological character from who we get the term narcissistic from, and so loving someone as they are right now and wanting them to stay that way forever is kind of how the character of Narcissus becomes the flower, the Narcissus, in that myth. However, I think a more positive twist to the same meaning is Narcissus conveying that you want your beloved to remain true to who they are. The remaining true part is sort of just staying the same, and then you can sort of just the way that they are as being like who they really are. So remaining true to who they really are, more positive message rather than I like you as you are right now, don't ever change, don't stop growing, that you're done. If that person then has some spiritual growth or has some sort of a freak accident or something happens like literally 5 minutes later that makes them question their morals or something, that's like that message is sort of, well, I liked you better before, which is kind of toxic, kind of like the holly. So yes, while there are many types of flower in the genus Narcissus, including the daffodil, which is feeling like it's March, but that also doesn't sound right. It's an earlier month in the year, has the daffodil as its birth flower. I mean, all months are earlier than December, but you get what I mean. Of the months in the year, it's one of the earlier ones, as opposed to the later ones. So yeah, so while there are many types of flowers within the genus of Narcissus, the paper white is the winter-growing variety, and therefore the secondary birth flower for December. And it's the one that FTD goes into. FTD is the site I used last month. It's the only one I used last month because it has a whole bunch of really good stuff on there. Birth flowers in particular are the hardest to get a hold of good, like this is all of it sort of thing. You sort of get like the same broad brush strokes, and then it's up to you to discern your own individual fine details sort of thing, as opposed to like birthstones. Some of the articles I use for birthstones go on for miles, like, and I'm actually talking, you've probably scrolled a mile on your phone by the time you get to the bottom of it. Anyway, so the Narcissus, according to FTD, is symbolic of good wishes, hope, and wealth. We already knew hope was sort of your general theme. It's a full, it does actually say here, excuse me, that Narcissus is actually the genus of flower, and daffodil is a common name for any of the plants that fall into that, and that they are known for their trumpet-like center. So they've got like the petals and the phylum in the center. It looks like sort of the bell of a trumpet, the bit that the sound comes out of. Holly, it mentions here, is a convenient birth plant for December since it's so popular during the holiday season. It symbolizes protection and defense, which it's able to do being semi-toxic and with its sharp leaves. Instead of a traditional bouquet, gift a wreath to help the recipients celebrate their birthday all month long. And yeah, December babies having their birthday right near Christmas. I imagine you're kind of in the same boat as, but like more so. You guys are like in the cabin as opposed to just on the boat itself. But January babies kind of share that with you, particularly the earlier January babies. So yeah, and yeah, obviously if you give them a wreath, they can just sort of put it up and they've got their Christmas decorations and their birthday decorations all at once. Because holly and the narcissus are actually just their birth flowers, and it's quite easy to fit red, green, and white into a Christmas aesthetic. Like, very easy to do that. It's got a little bit more in depth on the, I believe this article goes more in depth on the narcissus. I don't know it does. So we get birthstone, our zodiac horoscopes, famous birthdays. Yeah, no. So this one goes a little bit more in depth on the narcissus in particular. So we're going to look specifically at that. But yeah, we're obviously used holly for the thumbnail. So it says here, the Narcissus flower's name is derived from Greek mythology. Narcissus was a young hunter who was famed for his attractiveness and his beauty. He was so attractive that he himself was obsessed by his good looks. They've cut the whole myth short for you there. He was so sought after by women that he always thought that he had a shot with, like, Aphrodite herself, essentially. And then a nymph by the name of Echo fell in love with him, but she was really shy and she'd like scorned one of the gods, and they'd made it so that she could only repeat things that other people had said in her vicinity. And so, yeah, she sort of was shyly following Narcissus on his quest to find a suitable wife, essentially. And then he came across a pond, looked down into the water, saw his own reflection, and became so entranced by it that he refused to look away from it, and eventually was transformed into the flower. And that's how we get the flower and our echoes, according to Greek mythology. And it does say here, one day, when looking at his own reflection in a pond, he leaned in to take a closer look, only to fall in and drown. Not what actually happened. His body actually transformed into, like, he was there so long in mythology that the plants and stuff actually started to climb over him and wanted to continue looking at his own reflection. He transformed into the flower, which traditionally being that it's got a very thin stem, sort of droops down. So it was still looking at its reflection. He did not drown. But regardless, the narcissus is known as a symbol of vanity in Western culture. In other cultures, it carries different meanings. So according to the Victorian language of flowers, giving someone a narcissus means that you are, quote, the only one, or rather that they are the only one for you. So yeah, and I think that kind of fits in with that myth. Like, Narcissus was trying to find the one, because he had so many options. He wanted to just like find that one that wasn't really sort of in it just for his looks, although he was very vain himself. So yeah, kind of fits there. In Kurdish culture, it's a symbol of the new year. Good birth flower for December, considering that the New Year's Eve, the night that we actually celebrate the new year, instead of actually the day itself, which, if you really think about it, is kind of weird. Like, I get celebrating, like, it's officially this new year at midnight, but to not have any New Year's Day celebrations, they're all New Year's Eve celebrations. That's kind of weird. Anyway, it fits for being a December birth flower, one way or the other. In Chinese culture, again, symbolizes the new year, because it's one of the first flowers to bloom in spring. It's also a symbol of wealth and good fortune for the coming year as well. And as a symbol of hope, the narcissus has become an emblem for cancer societies around the world. Including things like Daffodil Day, being a fundraising event for cancer research. and as we saw earlier, the daffodil is a narcissus, so it tracks, it follows. Yeah, that's all I've got for this video. All links are in the description down below. If you are a December baby yourself, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below as well. If you are new here, please hit the subscribe buttons. It would be greatly appreciated. And while you're up there, ring that notification bell, turn on those push notifications so you can stay up to date when I upload new videos. If you enjoyed this one, please give it a big thumbs up. And until next time, guys, keep your head screwed on.